Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be talking about my latest project, which is this brick breaker that I call Galaxy Breaker, which takes advantage of modular programming and classes. The code to this project will be on my GitHub. It will also be in the description. And let's take a look at the project. So when you boot up the program, it's going to start with this intro screen, and this button, when you hover over it, it changes the text color and makes the outline thicker. You press play and you're into this game. The game looks like a traditional brick breaker, and it uses the same mechanics. Yes, it uses the same mechanics, and it's pretty similar to any old brick breaker. So the farther the ball is away from the center, the more angled it is, and depending on which side of the brick the ball hits, it moves in that direction. So let's see if I can lose. And so we have this loss, and if I were to complete all the bricks, it would take me to a win page. So let's look at the code. We have an array of bricks, an array of balls, and a paddle. We have the same enum modular framework as my last video, and we have the number of rows and columns, the bricks alive and total bricks, which says how many bricks have not been broken, and the total number of bricks you spawn in the beginning. We have the ball parameters. We have 6 brick images so that we can alternate between them easily. We put them in an array, and we have 4 images, one for the background, one for the ball, one for the paddle, and one for the current brick that we are using. Next we have the loading all of the images, creating the bricks, ball, and paddle, initializing them, and then adding 96, I believe. Yes, 96 bricks right here, and 1 ball. And in the draw function, we switch between the 4 modes, which are each up here: the game, game over, game done, and intro. The ball class has quite a bit. Most of the thinking is within the ball and brick classes. So we have our ball, which is shown in bx and by, the global ball variables. We have the act, where it moves the ball in the direction of the velocity. We have bouncing off the walls and bouncing off the ceiling. And once the ball has hit the ground, which is past the paddle, it loses, and it resets the ball and switches mode to game over. And this is for if it hits the paddle. So the paddle. The condition is very long, but it's just asking if it hits the paddle. So it's going to reverse the y, and then it's going to calculate the x based on this formula, which is long, but all it says is at the ends make it 1, and in the middle we make it 0, and we continue the x as whatever direction it was. So the closer to the edge it's going to be, it's still going to be in that direction. But if it's towards the, let's say the ball is coming from the left and it hits the paddle, if it hits on the left side, it goes left based on the angle. Based on the angle and amount of velocity, based on the distance to the left edge. And if it hits the right edge, it does the same thing but going right. It looks large, but it's just very cluttered. The brick has the x and y, its health, and its location. the image which is currently being used when you create the brick, and these two, which are old and we don't need. We're going to set the X and Y default. We're going to have 1 health, and we're going to set the size of each brick to 32 by 16. That's the size of our image. Then we have our current, the current brick image is the current brick, the global variable that we had before. And then down here we have our showing the brick, which we check to see if our health is greater than 0. So it's 1 by default, so all of the bricks are going to appear. And once it's not, it doesn't show the brick. We have the act and reset function. The act had the old brick bouncing, but all it would do was if the ball enters the brick, it reverses both the X and the Y. It doesn't matter which side it hit. The new method has a little bit different, where we have the absolute values of the velocity, which is this line. Imagine if you look at a graph and you have the slope x equals y, so you have this straight 45-degree line that goes across the whole graph. If the slope is less than 1, so it's within 1 and 0, we're bouncing off the y edge, which so we're going to reverse the x, like in here. If they're equal, so if we hit the exact corner, we're going to reverse both, and else our slope would be greater than 1 and less than undefined or infinity. It's going to be less than infinity and greater than 1, so we're going to reverse the y because we know it hits the bottom edge. We lower the HP to make sure this doesn't run anymore because we only want this to hit once, and we lower the number of bricks alive. Down here we have the reset function, so if we lose or we win, we want to make sure all of our bricks are in their place. In the game function, we have our background image. We spawn the bricks here and we set their X and Y, and we choose the image based on its J, and the J just says the first row is going to be 0, the next row is going to be 1, the next row is going to be 2, and it takes the image from the brick image array based on the J, and then it shows an X based on how it should. We check to see if bricks are alive. We make sure if it is 0, that as in all of them have been destroyed. We reset the bricks alive to make it back to normal, and we set our mode to game done, which is when you've won the game. This is getting the ball class and then showing and acting for the balls, ball and paddle. The game over means you've lost. In the ball you see we switch it to game over when the ball has gone past the paddle and hit the bottom. And it just has some text and resetting all of the bricks to make sure they reappear the next time we play. The game done is very similar. The intro has the button, so it's going to have the hover, which determines the color of the text and the thickness of the outline. And then it checks to see if we're pressing on the button, so it sets the mode to game. And the paddle has almost nothing. It has a Y, it has an X, which is based on mouse X, so when we move the mouse you see that the paddle moves with it, and it's just showing. And that's about it. Thank you for watching.